Okay. Good morning. Uh, sure, Daddy. It's pretty early in the morning, and Akumbe, it's still the time of the day where I still have some energy. So before I lose all my energy, I try to weigh in on this matter. It's even a matter that I've even been asking myself: should I actually uh, actually put out my view about it? Like, what is my position on the pattern? You can even feel it in my voice that my voice is shaking because it's an issue that a lot of emotions are invested in, and when emotions are invested, we try not to look for the issues, so we just like mumble things up in emotions. I will be speaking mostly in English because this Nigeria, our lingua franca is English, so I'll be speaking mostly in English language. But I will also be adding a lot of Yoruba because I'm a Yoruba person. I'm primarily Yoruba person. Yeah, so I'll be adding a lot of Yoruba, and especially as adding the Yoruba has to do with uh the things that brought us to where we are, or how like the things that define how we are doing and how we are reacting to things. When I was thinking of talking about this topic, there are two things that like especially two songs that came to mind. They are in Yoruba. I'm not sure whether I'm going to translate. Why am I talking about this? I've spoken to many Nigerians, many friends who have a lot of opinions about it, but some don't really want to talk about it because like it's really hard talking about these kind of issues. But why am I talking about it? In the words of Agbaje Olasekura and the barrister, when he sang Current Affairs, I think in the late 80s, he sang in that. There was a part of the song where he said, "Constitutional rights. Òun lẹ̀tọ́ tí mo ní gẹ́gẹ́ bí ọmọ ilẹ̀ yìí o, láti lè sọ̀rọ̀ tó ń lọ ní Nàìjíríà yìí, pẹ̀tẹ̀pẹ̀tẹ̀ tí mo bá nà ní pọ̀pá ọlọ́ládé, ẹni báwo ló lè tabà mọ́ fi ṣe bínú rárá, òwe ló sọ pé olóòótọ́ ìmà ilẹ̀ ni, ra olórírun méjì tó kọjá Nàìjíríà yìí o, bí wọ́n bá jẹ lọ àpadà wá sílé, bàgùntàn bá jẹ lọ àpadà sí ilé ẹ̀, nínú ohun tó pọ̀ tí mo mọ̀ tó ń dá wàhálà mú o, mo ní mẹ́fà tó ṣe kókó, ìmọ̀tara ẹni nìkan, àìnígbẹ̀rù Ọlọ́run lọ́kàn, àìnífi ara ẹni dé inú, àìlèmọ sùúrù ohun pẹ́ láfọwọ́fà, àmọ̀jù tó ń dá wàhálà mú o. So in his own view, he just basically talk about the reason why I can talk about the current affairs is because I have the constitutional right as part of this entity called Nigeria, and he listed some of the things that he believes are the things haunting us. He sang the song in the 80s, probably about the time I was born, and it's so interesting that if you still listen to the song today, you will still feel as if the song was released just yesterday. The second Nigerian song, a Yoruba song actually, that kind of also popped into my mind when thinking about this topic, was the one sung by Adewale Ayuba when he said, àìbá wọn sí níbẹ̀ láìbá wọn dà sí bí aráyé kọjú sí o, àwa ò ní kẹ́yìn sí o. I have an issue with that, because the issue is a lot of people already have a position on this topic, and sometimes when there is a position like especially a mainstream position, or should I say popular position on thing, when you have a contrary view, you look like an outcast. When you have a contrary view, you look like an outcast, and it's actually hard to voice because like there is a kind of mob. So like when you voice your opinion, like the mob is ready to, because like people have already taken their position. So once they have those positions, if you see anything that doesn't look like what I was expecting, like, German, what are you saying? But again, I will still make a reference back to Yoruba adage that says, Dojuba farabale da arimu. If you try to use your eyes, if you try to use your eyes, if you try to set the vision of your eyes, like instead of having like this 360 view, if you try to bring it down, if you look down, well, you are going to see your nose. So I think that whatever positions we have taken based on our sentiments or whatever, I think it is important to actually dissect what are the issues. And that is actually my own position on this. What are the issues? What are the issues? Let's talk about the issues, because it will not be good for us to lose track of the issues. The issues are the most important thing. The issues are the most important thing, because the issues are product of ideas, and many times ideas are bigger than us. And even when we are long gone, some of these ideas they stay back. So what are the issues? What are the issues? I would like to stick on the issues. And my approach to this on this issue of the communication minister and the minister for digital economy is, I would like not to. My position is not influenced by emotion. We are emotional being. We try to be rational, but it's actually hard not to have a little bit of emotion. But we actually have to put it in check. And unfortunately, in most of the time, we Nigerians don't like to talk about the hard issues. Like sometimes, like, we just want the popular narratives, or depending on which side of the divide you belong to. We have this popular narrative, and like, if you're not with my narrative, then you are totally against my narrative. We should normalize getting everybody's views, and you don't actually need to agree with the person, but in not agreeing with the person, you need not to be bitter, you need not to be violent, you need not to be saucy, you need not to like be insultive and abusive. You can say something and I agree with you on this, but on this other matter, I don't agree with you. So I would love to actually stick on the issues. And like, it's one of the things I also like to talk about also before like delving into the issues as I see it or as I think about it. Because like the issue, I think, whether it looks like it has been killed now, it is already there. It will always be referenced in Nigerian political history, or should I say Nigerian democratic history. So it is already there, and it will always be referenced. But like, there is one thing I would like to talk about on like generally how most of us approach issues. So like, to borrow from the example of a TED Talk I listened to a while back, and he talked about the speaker spoke about having a scout mentality and having a soldier mentality. So there, of course, like if, for example, if you have a military, or what is it, or whatnot, or like as a nation of people, you have your military. You usually have the scouts and usually have the soldiers. The scouts are not as much as the soldiers. The soldiers are the ones who fight. The scouts are usually the ones that do like reconnaissance, like that's the scouts. Like they are the ones that do reconnaissance. They just like maybe try to like go see. Sometimes like they kind of act like spies and like try to understand the enemy, look at the issue, or they understand the strengths, the weaknesses of the enemy, and they find a way of taking that information back to their base or to their bosses. Now they try to understand that the strength and weakness of the enemy. They compare it with their own strength and weaknesses, and they try to understand like what can we use to our advantage. That is how a scout thinks. A soldier doesn't think that way. A soldier doesn't think that way. What does a soldier do? A soldier, the business of a soldier is to defend his territory, right or wrong. It doesn't matter. It does not matter whether we are right. It does not matter whether we are wrong. These are territory. We are soldiers of this territory. come rain, come sun, whether we are the one oppressing, whether we are the one being oppressed, we are soldiers, and that is what we do. But scouts don't think that manner. And of course, it's not easy because like many times, sometimes it all depends on how connected we feel to the issue to define whether we want to look at it as a scout or we want to look at it as a soldier. I will try my best to look at this as a scout. I'm not looking at it as a soldier, because a soldier is, for example, I made a post on Facebook a short while before making this video. This video is going to be long because so that I'm going to have my thoughts composed. I actually try to compile the point of what I want to talk about. So it's going to be a bit long. I wrote a post and I said the Yoruba adage, the Yoruba mantra that says Babanja bikakuko, like Tabanja bikakuko, is a higher morality than somebody who says we are happy when unbelievers are killed. Like that was, and somebody attacked me, and like the moment I said what I said, someone just attacked me and said, "Oh, a quote by somebody who was happy when people from the north were murdered in Oyo State." And I only told the person, if you have an evidence that I was happy that people were killed in Shasha Market in Ibadan in Oyo State, if you have it, bring it, or else Allah will take into account on this. And the person apologized. Because when the person reacted, he reacted with emotion. He reacted as a soldier. And that's how a soldier thinks. And as much as you can, we encourage you, when there are issues, looking at it from the view of a soldier, like we just want to. So I want to just set this precedent so that when I go, because I know this is a very tough topic to talk about, and I still hope that, of course, as I'm talking about this, I expect to be engaged. Because I believe as you learn from me, I learn from you. That is the way it's supposed to be. So we are going to be engaged. And I expect that whoever is going to react to this video is going to react as a scout and not as a soldier. Because once you start reacting as a soldier, I will just discard you. I won't even talk to you. Once you start, because we want to stay on the issues. We want to stay on the issues. Because the fact is, when we all act as soldiers, nothing gets solved. It is just about me versus you, and the case of whataboutism. Oh, so is it this person from my tribe is a thief, and this person from your tribe is a thief, and for you to respond, let's talk about the issue. This person has stolen, is a thief, but you respond like, is he the first person to steal? No, it's not the first person to steal. So what's the big deal? Everybody is a thief. Yeah, because if you don't think yale. By the time we go ahead with the mentality of Bobo Alole, everybody know, we keep encouraging, we keep enforcing it, and nothing gets solved. Because yeah, so you have your teeth, I have my teeth. So let everybody maintain his lane. Oh, you have your teeth, I have my teeth. It doesn't take us anywhere, and we just kind of continue in a spread. So let's get down to the issues, and I'll talk about this. I don't believe I have 100% understanding on this matter, but to the best of my understanding, I'll talk about what I understand. And of course, I'm willing to learn from everyone, to learn from you as well. Right, so let's get down to the issues. So okay, before we get down to the issues, there are some preliminaries. Global politics, like international politics, is a very, very tough, it's a very, very big issue. Like it's, you have to, you really can't be looking at global politics from just your own perspective or from just your own lens alone. If you're looking at it from your own lens alone, you are going to be partial. So global politics international politics is, sometimes it's even better to just be an observer. You learn, and you don't really put your mouth in it. So because it's actually complex. But sometimes we all take positions, and when we take these positions, whether for or against, to be honest with ourselves and to satiate our conscience, we have to maintain the same energy on issues. Like the way most of us talk about global politics as Nigerians, it's usually defined on, how do I call it, on our individual antecedents. For example, when you want to discuss global politics between the Nigerian Muslim and the Nigerian Christian, and you bring up the issue of Israel, for example, and Palestine, for example, automatically, like, they are not, each person, most people, don't let me say each person, most people on both parties have not actually taken their time to understand what the issues are, and probably will not be able to give you their own exact position about it. So the position will just be, what is the position that majority of my people are supporting? That is where I am. And because I'm a Christian, automatically I have to support the Israel. I have to support the Israelites. The Israelis. Yeah, the Israelites are people in the Bible. I support the Israelis. I'm a Muslim. Automatically, I have to support the Palestinians. Are there places where there is transgression between both parties? Are there places of course, not many people are actually interested in looking at it. So global politics is actually something that is pretty hard to. So sometimes when we take position, it's not because we take those positions based on our own informed opinion, but mostly is influenced by our environment, our society, the people we look up to, and yeah, like these things can be really tough. Can be really tough. So what happened in the September 11 event? Because like, whether we like it or not, there could have been some issues before September 11, but after September 11, 2001, the world has not remained the same. The world has not remained the same. Just like this law of physics. I'm sorry, my secondary physics is rusty now. But this is Newton's law of motion, that for every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. Like, we gradually keep creating actions, and there are reactions that follow, and those reactions keep becoming another action, and there are reactions. The September 11 attack happened. I could remember I was in GSS3 then, and like many of the things I don't even understand. Many of the things like, what exactly happened? Okay, the first time you're hearing the word terrorist, and like, okay, what exactly happened? The Al-Qaeda, they attacked the United States. The United States reciprocated. One thing is, we don't have the internet the way we have it now. And most of us don't even have access to information the way we have it now. But usually then, we have a lot of position, like, the Al-Qaeda issue, it was these people, like, okay, they attacked the United States. So initially it looked like the United States was attacked unprovoked. And there are some stories like, the US was the one, at the time they were partners with Osama bin Laden. And like, there are many, just too many information filling the airwaves, and you are not really sure. In fact, I remember very well, there are some Muslims preachers then that actually preached that the September 11 has been mentioned in the Quran. They even, I can't remember the verse now. It mentioned, I think it's in Surah At-Tawbah, Quran chapter 9, that Allah has actually talked about it. No, like the way many people just interpolate things. Like the way people just interpolate things without actually having all the facts. And like the global politics international politics is a very, very big issue. And like sometimes I like to take a step back, because even on some issues, the way, like a very good example, and I keep talking about this example, when, for example, now, an average Nigerian Muslim, don't let me say an average, some Nigerian Muslim, when you bring up the topic of, say, Palestine and Israel, and the person can even be cursing the United States, God would destroy America, and because like, America is in the wrong, they are oppressors, they are this, they are that. He already has that same position on that issue. He has that position on that issue. Now bring up the issue of Saudi Arabia and Yemen. Bring up the issue of Saudi Arabia and Yemen. I'm like, nah, I don't want to talk about that. Nah, I don't talk about that. Like, let's maintain the same energy. Let's maintain the same energy. If you are going to talk about it, it's either we talk about it or we don't talk about it. But don't let's make it like, international politics is complex. And honestly, it's very, very, like, for you to actually have a position on it, you have to, it's better for you to, like, try to have all the facts, and don't try not, of course, okay, let's try to have all the facts to the best of your ability, and don't let it be like, you just have a position because of what you've heard, and like it boils you up, it makes you angry. Like, if I'm going to talk about injustice, let us talk about injustice, irrespective of what is, or irrespective of who is being unjust. Don't let it be like, if somebody that I like is being unjust, not a big deal. But if somebody who I don't like is being unjust, then I like, no, injustice is wrong, it's bad. It shouldn't be. If you are going to talk about injustice, I would rather talk about injustice irrespective of who is doing it, and not because I like somebody and I have a very strong opinion about someone's injustice, but another person's injustice that I don't like, that I love, I don't have any opinion at all. That doesn't sound just. That doesn't sound just. So there are a lot of positions. I could remember then in 2000 and, I think in 2005. Yeah, it should be in 2005. In 2005, I was doing IGMB in Polytechnic of Ibadan then, and I had a lot of friends. Of course, when you go to the university, you make a lot of friends, you meet a lot of people. So I could remember I followed some of my friends then to Iwo. So they had a group. They had a group then. The group is still in Iwo up to today. They call the group Tawon. Those who know Iwo very well will know of Tawon. And I went there. And when I went there, met a lot of people. And most of, like, the agenda was actually based off the global politics, especially the big issue then, like America, Iraq, Afghanistan, and stuff. Usually, to a great extent, it looked like oppression. And of course, up to today, if we are going to be honest with ourselves, there are many things that have not been addressed by the United States themselves. A very good example, the case of weapon of mass destruction. All the years that the United States spent in Iraq, kicking out Saddam Hussein and all the problems. Up to today, nobody has actually brought out a weapon of mass destruction. So we've actually, so they are like, to me, from my own position, this is a position of two unjust persons. But there is one thing I learned, I won't say I learned it early, because like most of the time we make opinion, especially about countries and nations. But most of the time we should understand that their international politics or their foreign policy, it's usually at a government level. Most of the people on the street are just like you and I. They want to put food on the table of their family. Most of the people on the street are just like you and I. They want to put food, they don't really care. But it is mostly those who are at the helm of affairs, those who have the power to do things. And like, it's just usually the way. So sometimes it's actually good to, like, when you look at this issue, you learn about maybe a country that has a big influence on why things is going wrong where you are. It's always good to actually look at who are actually the actors doing this. So when I went to like the Tawon event then, and I could actually remember they had like a lot of kind of, it looks like a protest, like a rally. Okay, not a protest, like a rally around the Iwo town. They were singing. In fact, I still remember those songs clearly. They were singing Turi, Turi, Turi. I don't even know the meaning of Turi. Turi is America. Turi is Israeli. Hey, hey. Hey, namu di shahada, la America do, la ida, la, Osama wali, la ida. And like, yeah, America, the enemy of God, Osama, the friend of God. And well, like when you, and don't let us forget, there are still up to today people, even in the United States of America, who have the position that the September 11 attack was an inside job. There are still people, and they also have their own evidences. I'm not on this discussion or this monologue actually. This monologue talking about whether who is right or who is. But the fact is, like, when we want to talk about issues, let us try to try to kind of keep a sense of balance. So let's try to weigh a lot of these things. And it's possible that even as young young men and women growing up, many of these things influence your opinion and how you look at things, how you look at issues. But as you grow older, you try to, like, that is if you decide to try to, like, okay, let me look at this thing I've heard. Like, okay, what is my own opinion and what is my own view about it? So the reason why I know that I'm like, many people look like get down to the Pantami issue itself, but the fact is we can't just rush. Like, okay, I just don't want to rush. I would like to set some precedents so that we try to, like, you listening to me, you try to understand my position, because I don't want. Like I said earlier, I expect that anybody who is going to talk about this video is going to talk about the issues and not just taking side for the sake of taking a side and like just have to defend this person because he must be defended by all costs. I stand with him because he must be stood with. Like, no, that is not my position. So, and one thing that also influenced my thinking about it is that the discussing people is simple, but can be confusing. Like, okay, let's pick Pantami as a person, because like you find many people on social media, there are people who share, oh, Pantami said this bad thing, and you find people sharing like, okay, this Pantami also saying like when people were killed in Sri Lanka, like he sympathized with them. You understand? Like, humans, we look simple, but we are very complicated. It is something that I have learned myself in dealing with people over and over again. And how do I learn this? The fact is, you could trust someone. I could say, I trust you as a person. And for the fact that I trust you, I could trust you like this. I could trust you as a person. And as I trust you, in the middle of me trusting you, you could also do something that is going to betray my trust in you, and it's possible for me not to know. Saladin Akesomi is saying Pantami case does not hold water. Well, probably if you would like to maybe come on the conversation to talk about it, but probably you can't just. I disagree with you that you say it doesn't hold water. What doesn't hold water? And that is the reason why I'm having this conversation. Let us analyze the issues. Let's analyze the issues. It's not just about it doesn't hold water. What are the issues there? And that's what I'm here to do. Let's talk about the issues. Right, let's talk about the issues. So, like I said, humans can be pretty confusing. It looks simple. So, if I'm discussing the issue of Pantami from a person perspective, like, because whether I love him or whether I hate him, I will not be able to talk about the issues. So I'll just be looking at it from like, because it's either you're talking because you love him, or you're talking because you hate him, or because thank you very much, Alaudin Adesomi. I agree that you want to talk, but please let me please finish my point, because like I said, I want to talk about the issues here. So when I finish my point, I hope that you will stay long enough on this conversation. Then I bring you on, then we can actually talk about it. I think it's actually better to have it as a conversation than having it as a monologue. But as well, I want to have the monologue because I want my own opinion to be very, very clear. So thank you. I'm going to bring you on. I hope you stay on. So, right. So like I said, it could be confusing. It could be confusing when you're talking about like person. But now let's talk about the ideas. So I want to talk about the ideas. Talking about the person who look like is either you love him or is either you hate him. So I would rather want to talk about the ideas. Yeah, we are not going to lose track of anything if we stick on the ideas. Right. So good. Now, before I dabble into the ideas, I would like to add to say my opinion on one thing. There are quarters that says the issue with Pantami is a kind of attack because there are people probably in the telecommunication industry who are against this move about the linking of the NIN to SIM. And it's actually a big deal. It has affected their businesses, and probably like people sponsor attack. I don't have the facts on that. Whether people sponsor attack on him or not, one thing is very clear. The moment you are a public officer, you are in the public view, you are always going to, everything you do is always going to be measured. Like I said, I'm not saying that maybe somebody is actually after him or nobody is after him. But the issue is, let us stick on the issues. What are the issues? Right? The fact that you are a public official You're a public official. Everything that you do is on public expenses. If you travel out of Nigeria today on behalf of the country, is on public expenses. Everything that you do, so it is fine. It is normal that you are going to be scrutinized. So like the fact that maybe somebody is after you, whatever you do, you are in the public view. So it's very, very important. And in politics, optics is very, very important. Just a politician manages his optics. So the fact that maybe somebody is again after you or not, it's actually immaterial. You are a public official, and whatever you do is going to be looked into. So that's, I would like to say that. Now, let me get into what are the issues. Now, the first issue I would like to talk about is the first report that broke the news. That is from the Independent newspaper, that reported that he had a conversation with Mohammed Yusuf of Boko Haram. The video was in Hausa. Of course, I don't speak Hausa language, but merely following the news, it was obvious that the Independent made a wrong report. They made a false report. I think we can all agree on that Independent made a false report, because they also retracted it. And one thing, let us also observe, the moment Independent put out that news, they made a big blunder, because for you as a media organization, you want to put out a piece of evidence in another language, and especially in Hausa language, in Nigerian language. You should have somebody to vet that. You put that out, it was a mess. What Independent did was a mess. And the reason why it was a mess was because it was, the evidence that it was a mess was obvious, in that Pantami also said, I'm going to sue you. It's obvious, I'm going to sue you, because like this is a lie. You're trying to rubbish my reputation. Like, and the video is actually saying something different than what on the issue of is on the terrorist watch list of the United States. Just like we all know, if he's on the terrorist watch list of the United States, nobody can know that until he tries to travel and he discovers that the United States does not release that information on the list, like, oh, is my name there or not? So what Independent reported is false, is wrong, is bad, and we have to talk about issues like this. Media organizations should be accountable for what they put out. They have to do a better job at vetting what they do. So that's the first issue I'm going to talk about. Now, the other issues, okay, that was the first one. Now, thereafter, then more issues kept coming out. So some of the statements attributed to Pantami, they are audios of this, and they are audios, and yeah, this is a live video I could not play, but I mean, all these videos are on the internet. That Pantami said he considers Osama to be a better Muslim than him. My question to that is, how did you measure that? Like, what is the criteria that you use to measure that is better than you? And that is why it is good to understand, like, to have the fact before having a position. When you have a position before having the fact, you make a fool of yourself. How exactly do you measure that? How exactly? What are the criteria that you use to measure that Osama is a better Muslim than you? What are the criteria? And I will talk about this later, but probably let me just make a hint about it. The same energy that Pantami used to say against Independent, that I'm going to sue you, he has not used the same energy against this other report. Because I expect that when he gave a renunciation, a proper renunciation would be that you actually itemize the things that you said, that you think that you don't agree with now. You can't just say, there are some things I said 10 years ago, I no longer say it now. No. You have to talk about it. I said A 10 years ago. What do I think about it now on this issue? You have to itemize it. That is the proper renunciation. But so don't let me model it up. So on the issue of Osama is better than is an issue. Now that is an issue. I want to talk about issue, not persons. So that's an issue. If Osama is better than you, what is the criteria that you use to say Osama is better than you? You are somebody that has a lot of followership. And obviously when people look at you as a mentor and you say something, because most of the time you are the one forming opinion for the people who listen to you. So when you say something, obviously your thousands or hundreds of thousands of followers may also say, if the mentor that I look up to says Osama is better than him, then Osama was better than us too. So you have to clarify this issue. What exactly are the criteria that you use to measure that he is better than you, right? It will actually be good to actually understand those things. Like, we just can't move on from issues. Now, another issue again is the statement where attributed to him that he said, we are happy when the infidels are killed or when infidels are massacred. I mean, this is saddening. Of course, we have seen different posts that says, yeah, when people died in Sri Lanka, he sympathized with them. Yeah, you could see, we are human beings. We could say, Yoruba says, another adage from Yoruba will say, it's possible for me to have a bad intention against you, but for me to come to the public and have a different optics. So those are the issues. I'd rather talk about the issues and not talk about the person. Let's talk about the issues. And this issue is not really about just Pantami alone, but probably thousands or even millions of Nigerians who also have this kind of mentality or who also have this kind of views. These are the issues. And let us talk about the issues and say, do we agree with these issues or we don't agree with these issues? Now, another issue, okay, this one is not really a big deal. There's actually a video. If you want to watch the video, you can watch an episode of Journalist Hangout where Baba Jide Otitoju was, they talk about, and Ayodele Ozubakun, where they talked about, they actually have a video clip of where Pantami was talking about their clerics who have gone into government. Like, basically, like, it was kind of not in support of clerics being in government, but today you are now in government. So, yeah, probably when you talk about renunciation, those are the kind of things you should talk about. Like, many years ago, I really don't like the idea of clerics being in politics or doing politics. Yeah, so probably, I think I have a rethought about it now. This is the way I now see the issue of clerics being in politics. And probably, as a cleric in politics myself, this is something I'm doing differently than the kind of clerics I talked against when I was younger, even though like I was not like a child when he said those statements. Another issue that Pantami, on this Pantami issues, is the audio where he compared Boko Haram with Niger Delta. Like, that is totally wrong. I think we should actually talk about these are the issues. Boko Haram, like, okay, extrajudicial killing. In that audio, he was talking about extrajudicial killing, and he actually talked about Boko Haram as our brothers. My dear friend, this is actually problematic. Like, for me to say Boko, like, they are killing our brothers, extrajudicial killings. We can all talk about extrajudicial killings. Extrajudicial killings is wrong in all entirety. Now, from day one, it was clear what Boko Haram was up to. Don't forget that we have been battling this issue for over a decade now. We've been battling this issue for over a decade now. So don't let us forget about it. So, and it's not like when at the time that we have this, everybody condemned the extrajudicial killing that happened. Everybody condemned the extrajudicial killing that happened, especially the one that was published by Al Jazeera when some of the members of Boko Haram, and funny enough, that was actually before Boko Haram was very violent. When the soldiers killed some of those guys, one of them was on crutches, and like basically they just shot them there. They shot those guys there and there. The video was online there. Like, nobody loves extrajudicial killings. Nobody is going to talk about extrajudicial killings. Abubakar Usman Al-Majiri, thank you for your comment. You said you are speaking a lot of English. That is not enough. Keep it short. No, we can't keep it short. When you're keeping it short, you don't want to talk about the issues. Why are you keeping it short? Let us analyze the issues. It's not about keeping it short. What are we using to castigate him? Law or morals on the US? I think you should actually listen to what I've been talking about. Like I said, you are talking like a soldier. You are not talking as a scout. You're just 100% Pantamis. Congratulations to you and your family. That's congratulations. What do you mean by you are 100% Pantamis? Congratulations for you. Right. Like I said, I'm talking about the issues, not about the person. You see, this is an example of what I'm talking about. This is an example, and these are the issues we should address, because there are people who have these dirty ideas, and we are talking about one Nigeria with this kind of dirty ideas. Let's talk about, Saladin, you are going to contribute, but please, let me try to finish the point I'm making, right? Now, the issue of Boko Haram and Niger Delta, they are not on the same scale, except we want to just be deceiving ourselves. If we have people, so if Pantami is going to make a renunciation, these are the kind of things we should be talking about. What do you still think that the Boko Haram insurgency and Niger Delta issue are on the same scale? And because like it just look like this is a kind of whataboutism issue, like what's it called? The militants of Niger Delta, they were killing, they were taking expatriates and taking ransom, and eventually there was an amnesty. They had the ministry, they were collecting salary, and basically we should just do the same for the guys in the north. We don't want to talk about the issues, and we just want to muddle things up. That was a blunder. If you say you are a 100% Pantamist, do you agree with these issues? These are the issues. I'm not talking about you are a Pantamist or you are an anti-Pantamist. I'm talking about issues here. Small people discuss people. Big people, intelligent people discuss issues. I'm discussing issues. And if you don't like issues being discussed, you can move to where you are discussing people. I'm here discussing issues. So please let us, and when you want to engage me, let us engage the issues. If you say you are 100% Pantamist, are these the issues that you agree with? So those are the things that we want to talk about. And when you're talking about, especially you're talking about they were killing our brothers. Well, it's fine. They are your brothers. It's fine. But the fact is, as far as I'm concerned, anybody who picks up arms and kill people recklessly is not my own brother. And that's who I am. Yeah, it's fine, it's your own brother. So now if you want to say we are a nation, now let us talk about this thing. If you are saying we are a nation and you think that a killer and a murderer is your brother, there's a problem. We have to talk about issues like this. Because the moment you pick up arms and you start wasting people's lives, now we have been battling this issue for over a decade now. For over a decade now. And people are being killed every day. People are being killed every day. And do you now, if you now say like, okay, they are killing our brothers then, do you still think the same issues now? Do you still think they are your brothers now? We have to talk about issues. I'm not discussing persons. I'm discussing issues. The next thing I want to talk about is, the other thing about the JNI, Patrick Yakowa, the issue. Honestly, because it will actually be good to have a proper investigation made on these things, so that we don't talk on sentiment. On that, as far as I'm concerned, it is not verified. It is not verified, and since it is not verified, I would not be able to make a position about it. There are read report that says that Khan, a spokesperson for Khan, who was a personal assistant to the governor Patrick Yakowa, then already debunked it. The good thing would be that when we have issues like this, we investigate it, we learn from it. What are the lessons we pick from it before we move on? We should not just make it like, yeah, you agree with me, you don't agree with me, let's move on. We have to look at issues. This is important for when we're discussing our future. Now, then the last thing on this issue is that we're talking about conflict of interest. When you say that, because this is a kind of conflict of interest. I was blown away a few days ago. I was learning about the politics of what's it called? The governance in Indonesia, and they have something that they call Pancasila. They call it like the five guiding philosophy of the country of Indonesia. And I wonder, does Nigeria, what is exactly the philosophy guiding the country called Nigeria? Like, what exactly does Nigeria seek to achieve? If we have people who come to politics, who come to power, having this kind of mindset on issues, and there are other people in the same country who thinks differently, are we not having conflict of interest? What exactly are we trying to achieve as a people? So we have to actually talk about these things. But if we just let's talk about it, let's move on. Let's move on. Then we are not solving anything, and we are just making it hard for ourselves. We are not going to trust ourselves. We are going to be in perpetual suspicions of each other. Now, I already talked about this before. Now, when all was said and done, last weekend, Pantami came out and said, I renounced. Number one, renunciation is an admission of guilt. Because for you to say, it means you agree that you said some things that did not make sense in the past. Good. To be very honest with ourselves, if you are very honest with this renunciation, you should rather talk about the things you said then that you no longer agree with. I said this thing 10 years ago, I don't agree with it. It is very blanket to just say, I said many things 10 years ago, what I said 10 years ago, I don't agree with them now. You actually itemize them. And that is going to be, I believe if you are going to talk about accountability, that's what you are going to do. If you're going to talk about accountability, you itemize the issues that you were against then, and you are coming now and you are going to, that you are no longer, that, okay, I no longer agree with this, and I think I still agree with this. That would be the honest truth. And another thing is that when you have this renunciation that you have, was this renunciation born out of you just being remorseful for being called out? If you were not called out on these things, are you going to still have said you no longer have this? Can you also show us other places before now that you have said, I said this thing some times ago, and I no longer think about things in that manner? Are you going to do the same? I think Mr. Pantami should actually do that if he's being honest. But if we are not being honest, let's move on and continue lying to ourselves. Another thing that also marred the renunciation was when he said, I was young. Man, you are 48 years old, and you were not young in the year 2000. You're already in your 30s. You're already in your 30s. And when he mentioned that he was 13 when he started, he just, sometimes we just like to give excuses without actually attending to the issues. Let's talk about the issues. Like, don't let us make it complicated. Don't let us make it complicated. Then, yeah, like I said earlier, a proper renunciation should address the issue. A proper, Abubakar Usman is saying something. Don't people discuss ideas as a matter of intelligence? If somebody says ideas is an adage and not a golden rule. Yeah, it's an adage. Nobody ever said that's a golden rule. It's an adage. Yeah, it's not a golden rule, but it is what it is. You don't want to talk about issues. You are just saying you are a pantamist. Mr. Man, you are an adult. Go and check yourself. If you are going, in fact, I'm even wasting time talking to you. If you are honest with yourselves, the issue that I've itemized, those are the things I like. You pick it one by one, and let's talk about it. Not all this, I'm a pantamist, about that dash. Now, lastly, one thing before lastly. The reaction of the presidency. I'm already done with the Pantami part of it. The reaction of the presidency. The reaction of the presidency, before even going to the reaction of the presidency, we had our vetting system. The vetting system of how ministers are vetted in what's it called? How ministers are vetted in Nigeria. Like, why did these issues not come? These are serious issues. Why did these issues not come up? Because, like, when you are vetting somebody for a position, it's not just about their competence and capability alone. You look at, are they bringing any baggage to the administration they are going to be serving? And obviously, these are baggages. So this is a baggage. Baggages is not the correct English. This is a baggage. Like, did anybody even raise this issue with the DSS background check? Our Senate, did they actually take a look at all these issues? What actually go on in our vetting and stuff? I believe like it would have been awesome if these issues were raised then and they were trashed. It let everybody move on. It let everybody move on. So we have to look at our vetting process. Yeah, the presidency, of course, when we say presidency in Nigeria, we know Nigeria does not have a president. We only have presidency. So, and presidency in Nigeria is Malam Garibashir. So Mr. Presidency said that he was young, he was in his 20s. Of course, that's a lie. He was not in his 20s. And what they said about cancel culture, that's actually a very poor defense. The actual fact is, when there is a kind of disagreement between people or something people don't agree with, it's good to itemize the issues and itemize the issue and not be putting up silly excuses like it was young. A 30-year-old man wasn't young. They're not even like, I mean, for a country like Nigeria where life expectancy is 54, you cannot say that a 30-year-old man is young. So yeah. So the idea of let's move on, let's talk about issues, let's move on, is actually not good for us. when there are issues, we actually have to talk about it. And we can't just say, one Nigeria, let's move on. One Nigeria, let's move on. I mean, it's just like there is a wound in your leg and you just keep bandaging it without treating it. You are not treating the wound in your leg, but you keep bandaging it. Now, lastly, on what actually brought about this issue, the issue of name. The issue of name. I tried to make my findings on like, why exactly is the name the problem? And I also saw a lot of campaign on people who are hell-bent on defending Pantami by all means. If you have listened to my argument so far, you understand that there are parts I said, like, these things against Pantami is wrong, and this one from Pantami is wrong. I'm not about the person, I'm actually about the ideas. Let's talk about the ideas. So what is actually this problem? This problem all started from the issue with the name. Now, what is the problem with the name? So the problem with the name is that the government came up with a policy to say that, okay, the same way we have the BVN linking different bank accounts to an individual, let us have the name linking Nigerians, linking different SIM cards to a particular person. Now, according to the DG of the NCC, that's the Nigerian Communications Commission, according to the DG, the motive for the policy of linking the name with the SIM was born out of the fact that currently there are about, by the number of SIM subscriptions in Nigeria today, there are about four SIM cards to one person. That is, if you map that to the number of people who actually use a mobile phone. So you actually have like four SIM cards to one individual. Now, there is also the fact that it is not only humans that are making use of SIM cards. There are a lot of non-human entities that are making use of SIM cards, like our prepaid meters are making use of SIM cards. The tracking devices in our cars are making use of SIM cards. Like, a lot of those things are making use of SIM cards now. So not POS machines, they are all making use of SIM cards. So SIM cards is not only like used by humans, they are used by a person. They are used by a lot of other non-human entities. Now, what is the motive of the government? The motive of the government is that we do not want more than 7 SIMs attributed to one name. So we do not want a Nigerian should not have more than 7 SIM cards attributed to him. And the only way to track this is actually like, yeah, you need something, an identifier, like the name, to peg it, to say you have just SIM cards, 7 SIM cards to one person. Is a laudable initiative. And in fact, even the federal government is actually even pursuing this agenda by also getting, I learned the federal government got about $500 million from the World Bank to also to effect the implementation of this policy. So it's a very good policy. It's a very good policy. But now, where do I think that there's a problem in this policy? And also the argument of the people that say that, like, the moment our SIM cards are all linked, we are going to be safe. We can now track down Boko Haram. I want to learn from this. I actually think that is actually wrong. Yeah, the government actually says that when we connect, of course, when you have only 7 SIM cards to one person, it's easier to actually track. Yeah, so it's actually easier to track. Then the government can also use it they said they want to use it. I'm reading it from the website of the NCC. That, yeah, it said, I'm reading from the government. It said, if there are 43, no, it said, yeah, very good. The DG of the NCC, that's the Director of Public Affairs, sorry, Dr. Keshuku Adinde, he said, apart from enhancing our general safety, this will help in such vital exercises like national budgeting, policy planning, social intervention programs, and many more. The issue with that is that they talk about national budgeting. So we want to use SIM card to be able to plan a budget. Remember that not everybody is actually using the SIM card. Nigeria still refuse to do a proper census for over a decade now. So, but that one is by the way. So these are the reasons why the government wants to link the SIM cards to the name. It's a laudable initiative, but it is not really about security. If you want to talk about the security aspect or the security benefit, if you want to talk about the security benefit of linking the name with what's it called? Of linking the name with SIM card. First, we have to, and in using that to actually track down terrorists, kidnappers, yada yada. The first thing we have to ask ourselves is that before linking SIM cards to name, we have SIM card registration. So how effective have we been able to use SIM card registrations to track down criminals? How effective? Because like that is actually like will be the case now, because when the SIM card is actually being used to perpetrate crime, it can use to track that. Like how effective have we been with it? The SIM card, the link connection with the SIM card is just to actually like track it down to a person, because you cannot listen to the conversation or whatever that is being part with the crime just through the link. You can only make the association that this SIM card belongs to this person. But to actually track down the activity or what is actually happening, that will actually be tracked most effectively through the SIM registration. I stand to be corrected on this. And another thing again with this is that the mean registration in what's it called? Yeah, according to the African report, in 8 years, Nigeria as a country was only able to register 42 million people in 8 years. 42 million. It took us 8 years to register 42 million people. So if we now want to, and Nigeria has 100 million, at least 100 million mobile network subscribers. So you have 100 million mobile network subscribers. So which means we have a deficit of 57 million. Now to register, to add, what's it called? Yeah, to register over 57 million subscribers. That number is not correct. To actually register over 57 million subscribers, it's going to take you like, yeah, you need like a lot of effort. Yeah. To the credit of the government, they have actually put in some infrastructure to make it possible. But the fact is not enough. And like the Yoruba used to say, Tabanebo Moshiru, Lashema Boyo, Ama Pamoe. If a child is emaciated, so thin, and you say, this boy is so emaciated, we need to feed him 1 bag of rice, and you cook 1 bag of rice for that child to eat in one day, you are going to kill him. And the fact again is that the issue with the name, connection with the SIM, is not going to be something that we want to do and finish. People will always be buying SIM cards. Children today are going to grow up tomorrow to buy SIM card. It's an ongoing exercise. So it's not a program like we want to finish it, and our enemies don't want us to finish it. It is a continuous program. It's a continuous program. It's not like we want to. People will always still be buying SIM card. So that's just what I want to talk about it. So that is the issues. And if anybody wants to come on camera, I still hope Salahuddin Akinwumi is here. I would like to talk about the issues. If anybody wants to come on camera, you can come on camera. Abubakar Usman Al-Majiri is asking, which side did you support during the US war on Afghanistan? The USA or the Taliban? To be very honest with you, my answer to that is, at the time of the US, like I said, I was in GSS 3 then. And like I said, if you listen to this conversation from the start, I was in GSS 3 then. And most of the only thing I could think about international politics were things that I hear from people. As a GSS 3, you know the age of a GSS 3 child, right? You can't compare my age to Pantami and then. And like I said, there were also Muslim clerics who even said that Allah mentioned the September 11 in the Quran then. So there are people who say these things, and these are issues. We want to talk about issues. That's what I'm going to say to you. You ask Abubakar Usman Al-Majiri is saying something else. No serious country sells SIM cards without trace. Exactly, but SIM card is not to trace. That's why you have SIM registration. NIN is different from SIM registration now. The purpose of NIN is just to link the registered SIM to an individual. Shikena, Ogade, you are a graduate now. Stop embarrassing your education. What else? There are always sole exception to do with any problem. We must link our SIM. Nobody is not saying you should not link SIM. That's the problem. You are responding to respond. You are not responding. You are not listening to respond. You are not, yeah. So Mustafa Dere, if you would like to come up, I can bring you on camera. I'm talking about issues here. I'm not talking. We are linking sim with NIM. I already said it's a laudable initiative. It is just the manner we are going about it that is problematic. It's just the manner, because if it is the name that we want to use to track down terrorists, it doesn't make sense. What you are supposed to use to track down terrorists is the SIM card. And if I remember correctly, there was a time that MTN was fined 5 billion for still keeping SIM cards that were not registered active on their network. There was a time, Oga Ubaka Almajiri, this is the problem here. There is something else you want to talk about. And there are issues I'm talking about, but we are not ready to talk about the issues here. So honestly, except you want to come on camera, I'm not going to respond to your comment anymore, because yeah, you are just acting like a troll. Mustafa Dere, I welcome. If you want to talk about anything, you can either write your comments or you can come on camera. We are discussing issues here, and honestly, I'm interested in discussing the issues and see how we move forward as a people. How we move forward as a people. Whatever we are doing right now is a precedent for people who are going to come after us. Yeah, okay, yeah. Salaudin says he wants to come on camera, so I'm bringing him on camera now. What is that function? Salaudin Akinsomi or some. Good. I believe you should have learned from what I told you this morning. But you don't learn. It is who you are. You don't learn. You don't learn. You don't learn. You are saying you are contributing. What are you contributing? I have mentioned issues. If you are going to contribute on the issues. I itemize the issues I'm talking about. You are not talking about it. You are only talking about what you are interested in. Let's talk about the issues. Yeah, Salaudin Akinsomi, I'm adding you presently, so you are being added. You are being added. So if you have, Abubakar Osman Almajiri, to itemize it, very good. In fact, I'm very happy I wrote these things down before talking about it. Are you happy when unbelievers are killed? These are things we want to talk about. Do you consider yourself better than Osama at any point in time or now? Why do you, if you still think that, why do you think so and why not? Do you agree that, do you think Pantami's renunciations can be better if he actually itemized? Almajiri, what's it called? Salaudin Akinsomi, I'm trying to add you, but it's saying that you are not coming on. Who else? If anybody wants to come on, you can come on. Yeah. If anybody wants to come on, you can come on. The fact that there are people who don't want the SIM card to succeed. I mean, in this life, there are people who are going to be against you. That one is not a new thing now. Whatever you do in this life, there are people, in fact, if you don't do anything, there are people who are going to hate you. So the fact that somebody hates you, does not disqualify these issues I've talked about. If you are somebody who listen, and you are somebody who learn, the fact that there are enemies against the main project, in life, you always have supporters and you have those who are against you. It is the natural things. That's the natural way things happen. So the fact that some people are against you, is it the reason why you should have this opinion? And when you have this kind of opinion, and you are saying that you no longer, are you going to itemize which one exactly? And in which way do you have a different view from it? That's what I'm talking about. The fact that there are enemies against you is not that one is not a new thing now. There are enemies against everybody. Everybody, you do not need to respond to me. I aim more at your viewers. Do you see? I already know you. You know, I don't need to corrupt this video than talking to you. I think I'm making a mess of this video by responding to you. I can't hear your voice. Who says you can't hear my voice? It must be your network. I think other people can hear my voice. So if there is no other thing, oh no. Okay, the audio output is faint. So sorry about that. So sorry about that. Oh shit. That must be a problem from Facebook. Okay, let's continue conversation on the